But he's a communist, and he's a pure communist. I think he admits it.
How do you respond? Are you a communist?
No, I am not.
You know, Zohran Mamdani must be a real terrifying character to Republicans because they are quaking in their little boots about the prospect of having him be the mayor of New York. One, because it means Eric Adams, the armed agent of the state, the jackbooted thug, the facilitator of human rights abuses while he was a cop, and now that he's mayor, is not going to be there. After he was given a deal and his prosecution was taken off the table. He decided, I'll be a fascist enabler. After all, I spent my entire life just being a fascist cop. Why not help Donald Trump if it helps me? And yesterday, the interview aired, portions of the interview aired with Donald Trump and Maria Bartiromo, where she asked him about Zohran Mamdani. And he lies. And look, it's very likely Donald Trump is just so stupid, so intellectually incurious, just the most ignorant man to ever hold the office, that it's very likely he doesn't know what actually the differences are between capitalism, communism, and socialism, and all the different jingoistic nonsense, fear tactic words they try to use that I think are wearing off in the zeitgeist. They're no longer saying democratic socialist isn't scary anymore. One is just a label. There are different versions. So there's different versions of progressives. I mean, Cenk Uygur calls himself a progressive while defending Donald Trump and shaking hands and being all lovey-dovey with Nazis like Charlie Kirk. So there's a spectrum of progressives. He's not my flavor of progressive. So Donald Trump lies. We're going to get to a couple clips here of exactly who Zohran Mamdani is and what he wants to do for the city of New York, and hopefully be an example to other politicians on a national stage of what we can accomplish if we stop with the fear mongering and trying to cast aspersions about these different labels like democratic socialist. Watch our intellectually incurious moron emperor Donald Trump talk about the democratically nominated mayoral candidate for New York City.
What did you make of the New York Democrat primary? Mamdani.
He's a communist. I think it's very bad for New York. I don't know that he's going to get in. It's inconceivable that but he's a communist, and he's a pure communist. I think he admits it, but I can't imagine it. But let's say this. If he does get in, I'm going to be president, and he's going to have to do the right thing, or they're not getting any money. He's got to do the right thing. It's shocking that I would have assumed that I used to say we will never have a socialist in this country. No, but we'll have a communist. I mean, he's a communist and going to be mayor of New York. So I was very surprised when I said, I never heard of him. I don't know who he is.
He's a pure communist. Boy, yeah, he's communist. He's a pure communist, says Donald Trump. I think he admits it. Listen, there's one thing I can guarantee you about Zohran Mamdani. I don't know him. I've never met him. I would love to. Maybe we'll get him on the show. But he's not afraid of what he believes. He was asked, and I'm going to play it here, but we'll play it a little later. But when he's asked about, do you think billionaires should exist? Well, Kristen Welker phrases it like Kristen Welker phrases questions, which is to say stupidly. But he's like, yeah, no, I don't. I don't think that we should have billionaires. He's not afraid of his opinions. So when he's asked yesterday by Kristen Welker about this comment from Donald Trump and being a communist, are you a communist? Flatly, plainly, he answers the question with no ambiguousness whatsoever. Watch this.
Well, let me ask you about what Donald Trump, the president of the United States, has had to say. He's had a lot to say about your campaign. He called you a communist. Because he's the president, I want to give you a chance to respond directly to him. How do you respond? Are you a communist?
No, I am not. And I have already had to start to get used to the fact that the president will talk about how I look, how I sound, where I'm from, who I am, ultimately because he wants to distract from what I'm fighting for. And I'm fighting for the very working people that he ran a campaign to empower that he has since then betrayed. And when we talk about my politics, I call myself a democratic socialist in many ways inspired by the words of Dr. King from decades ago, who said, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism, there has to be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country. And as income inequality has declined nationwide, it has increased in New York City. And ultimately, what we need is a city where every single person can thrive.
Not a communist. Democratic socialist. With a plan to help New Yorkers and New York. See, if rich people, if the wealthy would actually get in line with what works as an economic policy, they would understand that a rising tide does lift all boats. And if you lift up the middle class, the working class, the working poor, if you lift them up economically, they spend more money. They participate in the economy. And that helps all those fabulously rich people who own businesses. Does it not? See, trickle down is a lie that's been taught, since the late 70s, early 80s as a mantra for the Republican Party. But when has it ever worked? Even when Donald Trump did his first round of wealth transfer with his tax scam in 2017 and said, oh, there's going to be so much investment by businesses. Now, they hoarded that wealth. They paid dividends to their stock holders. There was no, oh, we're going to invest in our employees. We're going to raise wages. They did not do that. It has been proven. It has been looked at. Researchers and economists. Mamdani knows that. And what he plans for New York City, in my opinion, is going to work fabulously well while corporate Democrats and Republicans both battle against him. Andrew Cuomo is going to keep himself on the ballot to hurt his chances of actually becoming mayor. Eric Adams is going to run as an independent, he's so afraid. Even though his case was dismissed with prejudice, they can't bring it again. This is what I'm talking about with Zohran Mamdani and what he believes and his steadfastness to the things he believes. He's not afraid of me. He's not embarrassed about him. She was asked, and listen to the way she frames the question horribly, about whether or not do you think billionaires have a right to exist, as though they should be murdered or something, rather than should we have billionaires? Should billionaires exist? She's asking, do the billionaires who exist now, do they have a right to exist? It's all nonsense. Watch this.
All right. You are a self-described democratic socialist. Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
I don't think that we should have billionaires because, frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality. And ultimately, what we need more of is equality across our city and across our state and across our country. And I look forward to work with everyone, including billionaires, to make a city that is fairer for all of them.
This question has been asked and answered dozens and dozens and dozens of times. It's not that you take their money from them. Oh, you're a billionaire? All right, the state is going to seize your assets. We have a tax system that works. You have a top tax rate, a progressive tax rate. Let's say not even what it was under Republican President Eisenhower, which was like 90%. That anything you make after $10 million, I'm just making up numbers here, $10 million. If you make $10 million and $1, that $1 after $10 million gets taxed at 90%. That's the way they did it in the 50s. And when Reagan came along with his trickle-down economics, his absolute destruction of the American economy and the middle class, they did away with that. And they're afraid. The wealthy the people who fund political campaigns are petrified at the energy and the emotion and the dedication to trying to change things for the better by a candidate like Zohran Mamdani. And when you got the president of the United States out there saber-rattling about it, you know exactly who the power structure is and what they're afraid of. Anyway, what do you think? I invite you to this conversation. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe, but you can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. If you want to help support this work, I would encourage you to do so. For $2 a month, you can help produce these videos. You can help me do that. You can click the join button below for $2 a month, become a channel member. You can also go over to patreon.com/IDoubtIt All those are great ways to help support this work. And follow me on social media if you're already there. If you're not, don't sign up. But if you are, at Dollemore. I'll see you next time. Until then, be genuine and take care of one another.